All right, I saw some stuff on the charts that I wanted to get to. I figured doing a quick stream, like I would normally do this off if I wasn't live, but I kind of wanted to highlight something that I'm seeing that looks a little bit special right now. And before I delete all these alerts, I'll get it, you know, put up on the internet for reference. Oh, I'm gonna also record this audio here. All right, audio is starting to record. That's good. Quick stream because I just wanted to jump in here for maybe a half hour to hone my thought process on what might be happening here. Oh, that's cool. Or did a little pop thing here. What we're mainly looking at are these three coins. Hype USD on on Coinbase. These three because something interesting seems to be happening here. I would probably put Ethereum here too. Bitcoin's a good proxy. As mentioned, Zcash pumping typically doesn't bode well for the rest of the market. It's been like this for a long time, talking like 7 years. It's having its extended run. We're able to capitalize on this move here, but we're completely out now. It's the only coin that's actually the only large coin that's productive right now. And it kind of coincides with the market doing pretty well. We ended up buying into Wolf today because it broke out of this consolidation. And then Bitcoin was kind of doing well, the stock market was doing well. So it makes sense to kind of position a little bit. I don't like to position so high. It hit my alert, it's over here, and the risk reward is pretty good. We there's $20,000 in this position, so I'm gonna have to watch it. So the risk reward here, I mean, 10% is a lot. Maybe if it gets under back into this consolidation, I'm gonna have to play it to the downside. Typically, what happens is if something pokes out, it's not a perfect line, it's a random line, but it usually would test the bottom of here. It didn't do that here, so means my lines are probably a little off. I would, if it comes back into here, I'm playing for it to come down to $13, which is heavy. So our risk reward at this point is quite good if it really does go up instead of down. This would be the full cup and handle move. I mean, maybe we'll just adjust it down to 50% or something like that. There would have to be a news catalyst, some sort of earnings thing or whatever. The last earnings, it didn't do well. The last two, and it was still kind of moving up, or actually in this consolidation area. The last time we did well, it popped up heavily. So let's see what happens here with Wolf, but we're in it. US 500. I always kind of assume there's some sort of news when the price moves like this. My alert popped and I was watching it. I actually entered a position here at the top, unfortunately. But I quickly closed the position when we weren't actually breaking out. Where this, I don't like this hard rejection here. This is what you call an SPF, a swing failure pattern, and it's playing out. On Zcash, I would be a little bit more cautious, but I imagine the same thing's happening here. This giant wick was a push, liquidate a lot of shorts, and then we're coming up. And if we fail to move above it, then it's kind of over. MindTrader has some targets. First target being 410, and then the second target is like 520 or something. So it's possible that it can continue the momentum. Whatever is moving forward may continue to move forward. That's why it's called momentum. Zcash is they actually dropped some news over the last week, which is why there's like positive movement here. And there's a lot of like brain share, mind share right here in the crypto universe for Zcash. So it's being spoken about a lot in on Twitter. It's not good though. When it moves up and then the rest of the market's not really doing too much, then that's not good. However, that being said, we're at this pivot point here and we're close to 72K, which is productive. Move a sustained hold above 72 puts us in range of the 80s. So yeah, I took a stab here, got out before this continued sell-off, which I think is a good thing. I'm not always going to be able to watch and be on the computers. I just so happened to be here, so I took the trade and then cut it before it can do any damage. Hype was pushing into the 40s all day today, so I thought maybe that was good, so I took that. But now we're out. We're in the 30s again. This doesn't look good actually here, being that this would have been the time to continue the momentum, but it didn't happen. Again, good news can come at any time because it's basically an agreement, whether we show our hand or some sort of truce happens, some sort of clarity happens, then all of this can just get erased and we continue up. But yeah, so what I'm doing, like we barely didn't touch this second alert. If we touch this second alert here, that would have got me to watch. Let's move to the 15-minute. I kind of want to move Zcash over to this chart too, so we can see what the liquidation levels are. Let's move it here. CEC, USD. I like Binance charts. They usually have the most liquidity and history. And so there's so much. I mean, there's a lot of liquidity on both sides. We're obviously closer to the upside. I would imagine that this would be easier to target. But maybe we have to see some sort of fake out before we go up again, which totally is possible, is more possible than kind of a down move. But yeah, there's it's basically equal liquidity on both sides. I'm looking for the Binance Coinbase premiums. So Zcash, it's almost the same thing, but you see how close we are to these guys over here? We probably want to break into the fours before anything, and it can keep continuing to go. What's interesting here is like we're seeing Coinbase premiums move. Like that is very bullish. That's like started right here, right? Since this period, the Coinbase premiums have been winning, and we're a little higher than that now. And Zcash especially just, we gave back 6% in order to jump. Again, this is the 15-minute. Let's see how it looks on the 4-hour. Yeah, Coinbase starting to win here. That's quite a positive move. The last time this happened, you see what happened the last time Coinbase is taking the lead? I'm bullish here. I'm going to move Bulbasaur already on deck for this one. So still trying to position for this gigantic play. I think news will come out because there's a time frame, and the time frame is that we literally have 1 to 2 weeks before countries, like multiple countries, they just start running out of their reserves. So there's that time frame. This is like the confluence for me to get into the gigantic play, right? The second point of confluence is that everything is super oversold. We're seeing this Coinbase premium, which we just analyzed, that from here to here, every time it goes from yellow to blue, and we're kind of starting that right now. We're seeing certain coins really outperform on good news. This is like very opportune. And I guess another confluence point is people are split. They're scared, myself included, to put money in because maybe even half the community, half the people who trade are bearish. They want to see things go down. So that's also good confluence. I'll probably review this video just to pick up on all the things I'm saying. Sometimes it's hard to remember everything all at once. Um, but yeah, that's actually pretty, like, this feels right. Oh, second, I mean, I guess fourth point of confluence to the bullish side is um we're above 71.5. So if we're gonna hang out this area any longer, the past the least resistance is up. And we've been targeting this 84K range region for so long now. It looks like we're primed to go. And then you just kind of look at what happened over the last week or so, where we kept getting higher lows into this push because of obviously news. But my hunch is that positive news is going to come again when we least expect it. We need kind of like a strike to the downside in order to get that positive news. The same way how I feel weirded out by this move here, the position that I opened and cut basically immediately, because like this looked great. It looked like we are gonna actually go, but it's usually these times here. That's why you don't want to pre-position so fast. You want to break out because it's these times where you get a lot of people who overcommit and then it gets sold off. And so something like this could happen where it comes down into these pivots here, and then we push. Or even like lower, right? We want something that resembles this, but to the downside. And instead of being scared, unless it's like, oh shit, it is raining fire and there is no deal. And countries are gonna, like, we don't care that countries are going to starve of oil. Like, unless that clarity ends up being the thing and it keeps going down, any move to the downside right now, I'm looking to buy for all the reasons that I just kind of laid out. And especially because, we're seeing certain coins just do well. And obviously, everything I said about Zcash and the start of this thing, where if it's the solo pump, it's actually not good for the market overall. Usually, it's like a ball of energy that loads up. It's like Zcash, and then boom, it expels, and then everything topples. That happens so frequently, but that's like the only bad point here. And I could negate that bad point by basically saying, like, we'll take a look at Ethereum real quick. That point about Zcash can be negated simply because we've spent now 2 full months down here. And then if you look at this bottom part here, this was only 1 month, and then we continued up again. I'm not saying that we have to go up, and I'm not saying that we're going to go up this high, but it's just like the liquidity favors it. And you just, someone's positioning. Whales are definitely positioning. When you kind of see this parabola shape, it's most likely going to go up. I covered extensively why I'm not actually fully positioned. I'm actually like not so positioned at all, other than like the wolf that I bought earlier today on the stock market. I'm not positioned for this because you position too heavily. That happens. That has happened before. So, I mean, cautiously bullish, I think, is the thing. Like, cautiously optimistic on the bull side, and also looking at what potentially I can be optimistic about on the downside, and zero pessimism on either side, because that's what gets you in trouble. But yeah, so we got a whole bunch of alerts that we got to clear up. Like I said, this is just going to be a pretty quick video. This is something that I would just do on my own. I just wanted to, I guess, get it on tape and like record my thoughts so I can get an AI summary. But 72 for, let's get rid of this one so all of them can get deleted. Yeah. And then Zcash, 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 Zcash. These were hitting all day. This looks freaking awesome, to be honest. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if it does continue to the upside into like where MindTrader was talking about, where would be the natural second take profit. Man, we kind of drew out Zcash perfectly, and I think Zcash has been the one of the most winningest coins that we've played over the last half a year. Um, and we basically called every single move in here, all the way down to here. It's like, you just don't know when it's going to go up like this. So hopefully we kind of get a pullback and something, but I wouldn't like, the only time I would position into it is if we actually hit the TP1. If we hit our first take profit, then I could position it into the second take profit, which is still like a nice 19%. But we can like potentially go heavy on that, depending on what's happening with Bitcoin and the war and whatever. But it just means like momentum. There's a place for everything, and right now, I guess people who are in the know, and I guess more well equipped, they get to eat off of this uncertainty. And then when we break through, this area is the meat of the move where it's basically safer. So you get like a lot of other people, like retail and just like everybody ends up piling in. And obviously, people from down here are starting to sell, but the momentum will carry it. And then the momentum will stall out at the second take profit. And, whatever happens next, right? But yeah, like the point here is like this area is the safest area, which is where you could potentially deploy the most. And like if you had brass balls and like no time schedule at all, going heavy in here would obviously be the safest if you just kind of set your targets, right? Like, oh, I don't mind losing 10%. I don't mind risking 10% to go for, let's say, a 3x, Hold up. Let's see. That was a quick FaceTime call. That was nice. I will now be continuing this. Resume the stream. So yeah, like this is what you call the meat of the move, right? Where you can kind of position better here. You obviously would love to position down here, which I did. I actually bought as soon as this alert hit. This is like the magic alert. When it hit, I went super heavy. We made a good amount, like such good profits on that. And then, you kind of don't know where it is. Like there's so many times over the last 2 months where I rode it up, like I made a lot of profits, rode it back down, and then or even lost money and then again get like buying these bottoms here. So like at this point I just took profits, and the market has a way of making you stop believing, right? So when this kind of move happened, I didn't really position myself. I'm like, well, I don't mind missing out on the thing that's going to round trip again, anyways. I'll just buy it next time. And then, it did one of these things. So if you miss a move, you look for the next move, which would probably be this one if we're going to continue. And, as you can tell, I'm leaning more Bulbasaur. But I think the thing is, what we have to think about here is, if we're getting this opportunity, then there's going to be other coins with opportunities too, right? The Zcash is one of the first ones to move so big. So Dash, for example, this alert hit. I probably put this in like 3, 4, 5 months ago, and the alert hit because we went and struck on a whatchamacall resistance area where I marked. And you want to look for these beta plays. Beta play is something that like follows. It's like a secondary play. There's like the main play, and then there's the beta plays. And if you saw Zcash pump up here and you went, looking for beta plays, go straight for Dash. Well, you would have gotten a huge move. It's actually decent. It's not like huge. If Zcash is to break out from where it is, let's say this is where Zcash is. When Zcash hits 420, for example, Dash will be here. Then you can kind of position into Dash and see where that next one is. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing. They're both privacy coins, so they just move in tandem. It's just Dash might move 15 minutes, an hour before Zcash. So if you have the alerts up on Zcash, you can immediately jump over to the next beta play. It's called like a sympathy play, actually. And yeah, you'll kind of get a similar payout, 47% here, albeit it'll be like less liquidity. But at the same time, you got all these degen retail traders that are jamming. So you'd have enough liquidity as long as you're selling into it. But yeah, there's Zcash TP1. This came from our boy Mind Trader. So good job on that call there, Mr. Mind Trader. We're gonna have to delete it so we can get rid of all these alerts. And yeah, there was a couple of things when I was watching the market today that I did want to highlight, but mainly what I want to do over the next 15 minutes is to go into my Twitter feed and fish out like basically the same thing that I've been saying that I'd like to do over the last 2 streams, except it was just dominated by alerts and charts. But what I'd like to do is to rank these confluences. Definitely, it is like basically focus on this sheet. Focus less on the charting today and more on the sheet. And I think that's actually we're at an opportune moment here because we're just going back and forth, back and forth. Right here on my whiteboard, I wrote, I think this was like at least 4 months ago, if not 5. We're going to crab market until October 2026. And what I mean by that is like we're not really going to miss moves. This Zcash move was actually pretty interesting for me but it just means like the crab is bigger than where it was before. It was like compressed. We're compressing and coiling, and Zcash was the first to pop. Hopefully, it's not the last to pop, but with the crab market in mind, we're looking at what kind of liquidity games are we trying to play, right? Oops. And then October being a place where wherever we are, if it's a bottom or if it's up here, right? Or it's a bottom. Like why specifically October? I don't know. It's just the date that's in my head based off of like all these months of consuming information. Yeah, so there. Final confluence point before I actually do exactly what I said that I wanted to do is Dr. Profit here. I still need to catch up on some of his messages, but I saw here today that he longed at 71,750, and that's huge for us. Like this is a huge confluence point for me because, as you know, he's been short the market, and he helped us short the market up here as well and kind of be bearish. Not as bearish as he has been, but he's got like an average short price of right here, 115. He started like here, and he's been riding this, and he still has those positions open, right? And he's just buying in the meantime. So I like that. I'm a fan of that. It aligns with my bias as well. So cool. Let's make this happen. Let's make it happen. And a move like this, it probably will be fast. So miss on this, gain on this. That's totally fine. We just got to position well where we don't scare ourselves out in a 15-minute interval, like jam $1 million and then like immediately down 5K, but then scared because of that 5, only to close it so that it can go and we miss out on like 200K or what would this be? 90K, So let's just and alternatively, what we can do here is like position a fourth of that here and then not touch it at all. A fourth of that, if it was like 250K, it would be 15% of that would be like $40,000, right? And that would be like less frills. I don't know, maybe like who knows which one's the better what's the better option here? What's the better option? Yeah, the more I look at these charts, the more bullish I feel. And like that's how I feel. That's why I feel counter towards it. It's like, oh shoot, I actually feel bullish. Everything looks bullish. So maybe it's a fake out. That's kind of how you want to train your brain to work a bit. And then when it truly proves that it's bullish, you just kind of like jump in the line as it's going. But yeah, a lot of crazy ones that's been happening. AOI has been doing some crazy stuff. Freaking AXTI, which kind of shook me out. It shook me out of 2/3 of my position down here, which is like 3 days ago, which is insane. There's still been a lot of good movement. Let me charge my phone. There's been stuff. Stuff is happening, even though like software and things like that haven't been doing well. Like we Nasdaq found some sort of win here, right? It's an engulfing candle off of a gap. That's pretty incredible. I'm not gonna lie. Like this is super bullish in my mind. Even though like a lot of people are saying like this jump here, this jump is super bearish. This has happened 4 times since 1950, and then there's like 2 lines here that's never like each time we gap up above both these moving averages over the course of 20 days, there's an average of down 10%. Like that's kind of the stat here. So you kind of want to play this a little cautiously. So it's like 4 out of 4 times that's happened. Is this going to be the fifth time? Will this time be different? I don't know. And like I feel like this time will not be different in the sense where, hey, this is going to be a crab market, right? Yeah, I would totally believe that. So not pre-positioning, whatever. Um, so with that being said, I probably don't want to be doing this on stream just because it's just going to be a lot of me looking through my phone and adding it to the sheet. But yeah, so I won't do it on stream. Let's just see what's going on with DP. Big profit. Yep. Yeah, this huge confluence point. I like this a lot. Yep. Look at that. He's going to add to his shorts while he capitalizes on this win. And he shows occasionally he'll show the position sizes. He's playing with big boy money. He's not just calling for something. Yeah, he's talking about oil. We were able to play this. Oil kind of came back down a bit after that, so thankfully we were able to secure some profits. It was like playing small money on it, but nonetheless, it helps you get the feel of the vibrations of the market. Yeah, like this is pretty incredible. It was kind of like here we're able to capitalize on this move up, and he's still in, I think. I think he's still, yeah, he hit TP1. He's going for potentially equal highs there. XMR. So XMR is a privacy coin too, and he's bearish on it. This is his first new short position that he's talking about opening. And seeing what Zcash has been doing, it doesn't seem like a intelligent trade. So he has to have some sound foundational thought process behind this. Look at so XMR has marked the top of every single bull run in the history of crypto, and that literally happened this year. It happened in 2021. It happened in 2018. It's like it goes on its crazy run and then boom. So like if you were to lay this, it's gonna look a little different because Zcash had his renaissance moment last year, but I mean XMR went 427x, so that's a little different. But I guess this is the origin on Coinbase of XMR of Zcash. But yeah, almost the same for Zcash. On its pump, like who pumped last? Yeah, Zcash ended up pumping before XMR. XMR pumped last, which makes sense. Here, XMR had a pump. I imagine came down after. Yeah, the rest of the market came down, and Zcash had its moment here. Zcash has its moment here early, and there was still some room left in the market, but like it was basically over in October. But XMR then had its moment, and it's like all bets are off. Like literally, it was like January 16th when all crypto stocks and software and everything just plummeted, and we're looking at January 13th. So on this moment, when you see XMR top, you basically go crypto's done, right? And you would have been fine. That's a key indicator. That's for those who are in the know. But yeah, still, am I bearish on it? This is crazy. I don't know. This is a hard line to be breaking through, especially unless we're seeing something like that, which it's going to take some time to happen. This looks bullish, even, right? Because privacy is like the new shiny object here. The talk, the theme. But yeah, all right. Let's see what the heck is going on with his thought process with this. The left orange is our short entry at the white line. At the green circle, it was the moment we moved stops back to our entry. This is what I'm saying about stop loss and take profit. Da 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 da. And only the clever one survives by moving their above entry. Da 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 da. Da, 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 da. For those who are out at entry, okay. So he's saying that his stop loss was not targeted because this SFP, this is a swing failure pattern, ended up not taking out his stop loss, and he ended up eating this $10 over here, which is nice. But oh, is that all he was saying about? Here we go. Short entry. Short entry. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of paying attention to these chats, but I haven't really gone in and read through every single message like I am right now. Big short entry coming. Here we go. Short entry at 342. We're currently at 344. So it's probably done. That short is probably done because it went in and hit 350 as well today. This is massive bear divergence. Shorting here with 3x leverage, expecting a sharp downside move. Aligns with BTC at top. Okay. Here we go. So that happened. What, April 8th? Oh, yeah, wow. So this was yesterday. He was able to get this short in over here, massive bear divergence, down 5%. And then this is a good bounce. I don't want to be Super Bowl, but this also is quite a bit bullish. And we're rooting for this to happen. If this can happen, and then, for example, Zcash continues its run, Bitcoin goes and does its thing, we can make some money in the short term. And I believe, so he put stop loss entry, and then he had the expensive lesson as well. Whatever. People had the free lesson, but he got the expensive lesson because, I mean, he got a lesson that he had to pay for because he put the stop loss above entry. I don't think he's talking about that anymore. So he's long. Yeah. So he's not talking about XMLR anymore because I think he's at this point flip bullish because the XMR got stopped out. And wow, XMR is actually the play here. It doesn't move. It doesn't move as much as Dash, but it's also not as volatile. So you can position yourself pretty well into it. And this is a long time to be consolidating. When was the last time it consolidated like that? Can't find one. Can't find one. Can't find the time. Down here, which was a bear market. Down here, which was a bear market. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess this is not a long time because XMR slept through this entire bear market too. But yeah, privacy is the theme here. Anyways, I'm gonna do my thing. Hopefully by the time I get on the next live stream, we're gonna have a fully filled out chart. Oh, we're on the iPad one. That's no good. What am I replacing? Yeah, I'm gonna take a break from the charts, X that out a little bit, and then work on the sheet. Cool.